Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Uncommon Nonsense with Collin Payne. Now, I know it's been a minute since our last upload, and by a minute I mean 4 months about, but I wanted to come back to the channel. I took a bit of a breather. I was getting a bit burnt out just with my job and adding this on top of that, but after my breather and after some deliberation on how to go about doing the show, I've decided to come back and give it another go. So this recording that you're about to hear is an old recording. I had it recorded, actually, it's about 6 months old now. It's been a while, and you're going to hear some feedback and some audio irregularities in it. And for that, I apologize. I did my best to clean it up and make it as palatable as possible for you guys. But I did enjoy the content. It's a good episode, so hopefully you stick around and hopefully you guys like it. But going forward, this is going to be like a season 2 of Uncommon Nonsense. We're coming back stronger, so get ready for more goofs and more gaffs and more good times with me and the friends. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this episode and all the ones I have coming out in the future. Thank you all again for your support.
That stinks, man.
Sorry, your fruity, faluty
smells like
tobacco product.
Yeah, it smells like fruit and feet or something.
Do I look like a weirdly deranged talk show host?
Yeah, you do. I
feel like a talk show host because they always have the desks, and they're like, "Tell me about your childhood." You know?
I feel like I'm on some sort of like radio therapy show.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like a radio setting. It is.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's what
It is.
Yeah,
we're going for, the whole radio show.
Touche.
Anyway, I had a fun intro I pointed out.
Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow. Right.
Me ma mo ma me ma ma.
No.
Brandy went to the store. Went to the store. Went to the store. Anyway,
that's all recorded.
Yeah, I've been rolling for.
You
I've been rolling for 2 minutes.
It's all recorded. You should definitely make that as part of it.
Oh
like
my
red leather, yellow leather.
Stop it. That's fucked up.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Uncommon Nonsense, the podcast that's just so spooky, I had to have my parents come and hold my hand. On today's episode, we're getting a little bit into the spook zone. I, of course, with me have my parents again. I think it was episode 3 that you guys were on, but Mom specifically said to me, I want to do an episode about ghosts, and I thought about it for a moment, and then I was like, yeah, I mean, I think that there's enough to talk about, because I kind of want to approach it in a similar angle that we approached the Bigfoot conversation, right? Because I'm not sure I'm completely convinced that ghosts are real, but I have a feeling that Mom, at least, you're pretty convinced, right?
Yeah.
I think that's we should probably start if we're going down the ghost route, we should probably start with where we stand, right?
Yeah.
So, Mom, you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
You definitely think that they're ghosts.
Yeah,
or they're
sure.
ghosts. Dad, where do you sit on ghosts?
I'm not so sure.
You're on the fence?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also on the fence a little bit. But I did a little research.
Research?
So there were a bunch of different polls that I looked at, and they all had varying numbers, but they were all around 46% of people in America think that ghosts exist. It's like a 46% belief rate. And then what's crazy though is that number is only 34% in the UK. So like in like England and shit. they're not vibing with the ghost. Which you'd think, isn't that like
The
They have a
prime-
lot more history.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, the old Victorian era woman that's like
everywhere's haunted.
walking your halls, I feel like that's the typical ghost,
right?
Hang on, give me a second. So yeah, the same amount of people apparently claim that demons and demonic spirits exist. So strike that correlation where you will. I guess, I'd assume that if you think that ghosts exist, you would probably go as far to think that, demons and possessions exist, right?
Right.
Do you
Right.
think that do you believe in demonic spirits?
Yeah.
You're the resident believer. I think me and Dad are both on the fence, which I'm going to be honest, that's what I anticipated coming into this.
Okay, it's just I don't know. That's a tough subject because
Yeah.
you can dive into a lot of topics with just that. You know what I mean? Yay! Subject.
Did that break?
I hope not. But yeah. Hold on. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Do you need a moment?
No.
All right.
It's upsetting her.
Yeah, it is.
It's
I don't know.
starting
I
off
think
rough.
you can get into the deeper topic of if you believe in God, then you have to believe in the devil. Like
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? Like if you
Yeah.
believe in angels, then you have to believe in demons. If you believe in Holy Spirit, then you believe in evil spirit. Like
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It can go very deep.
Well, I'm on the fence because I feel like it's the same kind of situation as the Bigfoot thing. Like, I feel like we would have really concrete proof by now. But I also feel like that's just like the skeptic.
I think we do though. Again, like with today's technology, like you see
Yeah.
that paranormal caught on tape all the time. There's a show about it. Like
Right.
people are capturing stuff with their phones on video that you couldn't capture like 10 years ago, 5
and
years
like,
ago.
And like the Ring, the Ring cameras and,
Right. All of
Right.
these.
nanny
Weird-
cams and
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of stationary cameras, are just capturing things
Because, I mean,
more and more.
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have,
Any of that back. I mean,
Right.
and back in the day, if someone said, "Hey, well, I saw a lady walk across my living room," be like, "You're a nutball."
Right.
But nowadays, you're like, "Oh, well, my Ring cam, look what I caught."
Right,
it caught
yeah.
movement. There's this figure walking across my living room. Are you really gonna be like, "Well, you're a nutball"?
Right.
No.
Now you're an influencer.
Right.
And now, yeah, you've gone
You're
viral.
an activist.
But yeah, I mean, I've had some things. My thing is that I've had some experiences, that I can say that I just can't explain, you know what I mean? And that I would like to think are ghost related. But I also, there's an interesting like discussion in the scientific community about how humans do this thing where we hallucinate like a lot more than we think we do. So like a lot of it is obviously when we sleep, like sleep paralysis and things, or like a lot of people have a lot of ghost experiences while under sleep paralysis and stuff. But one of the main things that I found interesting was that it's argued that we hallucinate things that aren't there. Like, say, for instance, you go out at night and like you're looking at just into the woods. You know what I mean? It's just dark and like trees and shit. There's a good chance that your brain will make you hear something.
Or see something.
Or
you can
see
make
something.
a face out of a tree
Right.
branch.
And it will freak you
okay.
out.
Yeah.
Because it is it's they've coined it as like a better safe than sorry response almost. Like your
Okay.
brain is like, we should manufacture something to be afraid of so that just in case there is something to be afraid of, you're safe. I found that to be super interesting. But what I will say is that because I don't know if you guys have like any personal ghost stories. I know that you have one with me, Mom, because you were there with me. But when I was young, I was a young lad. I think I was around 9 or 10. I was in my room at the house at where you guys still live,
I
but
think I know where you're going with this.
it is now your closet. But
Yeah.
we had gone, it was bedtime. You sent me and my sister to bed, and I was closing my door at that point. Like, I was old enough to be allowed to close my door, you know what I mean, to like go to bed. And so I closed my door, I'm laying down to sleep, and clear as day, like crystal clear, I hear a female voice whisper my name, like just my first name. It was like Collin, but like to get my attention. And I was like, the thing is that I was about to fall asleep, and I heard this, and it shook me completely awake. And like, I even got up and went to my sister's room because I thought that it was my sister who had
I
like
remember when that happened.
tried to wake me up for something, and she was passed out,
Mm-hmm.
and it really freaked me out.
Mm-hmm.
I still think about that like a lot of times when I go back to the house, because now that room, like I've never, and it's not like I'm afraid of the room, that was my childhood room,
Right.
but like I'll go in there and think about, I remember that time that like my name was just clearly whispered. And that's never, it could have been a hallucination, but it's never happened again.
It's happened to you, it's happened to me, and it's happened to your sister.
Right.
I don't know if it's happened to you at the house, but when it was whispered to me, it was a male voice that I heard.
Yeah.
Chelsea, your sister, heard a female say her name and also ask, and I know you remember this, where are my shoes?
Yeah.
And that would scare the crap out of her at night. Remember?
Right,
She was like, there's a lady in my room asking where her shoes are.
Yeah.
And that's why I had to quit doing that, because you guys were getting sincerely scared.
No,
Besides Dad wearing women's shoes.
And whispering our names through the wall.
I mean,
to be fair, I will say you guys did hang out in the family room, and that was just a wall away. So if you did whisper hard enough into the wall,
no. I wouldn't stand up and just whisper into the wall for shit.
And a whisper's not going to go through the wall. You can't whisper through the wall.
You bored a little hole.
No.
And you whispered through the hole.
You could do that.
That's what you did.
Bore a little hole.
It's not what I could do. That's what you did. I'm blaming this on you now. And you whispered in but it definitely was creepy.
Attic.
Oh, it's the attic tubes. Okay.
Do you recall the time when I was at work and your sister was playing music, and she claimed that she turned the radio down?
Yeah, someone told her to turn it down.
Yeah,
someone yelled to turn it down.
And it sounded like me, but it wasn't me.
Yeah. So, I mean, our house, see, here's the thing.
There's definitely, I feel, and I've seen, I'm just going to say, out of the corner of my eye, woman go from Chelsea, or our bedroom, Chelsea's room, to the bathroom. Really, just really quickly, a swift little woof motion.
Yeah.
I think it's haunted by a female.
And I remember distinctly, we were having a family dinner, and you saw out of the corner of your eye what you guys, and Chelsea saw it too. I didn't see it, but you guys described it as a bowling ball flying like across the doorway in our living room. So I think I've said it before though. This podcast comes out of Ohio, and Ohio is notoriously haunted. When we were, discussing doing the podcast, you said you should look into some.
Smoke more than a pack a day, I'm gonna skin you.
I don't know what I was saying.
Sorry. You're saying that Ohio is notoriously haunted. Our town, which we won't name names, in said Ohio, is notoriously haunted.
Yeah, we are because we're in a very historical town. I don't know when downtown was made. And
since the dawn of man.
And then God said, "Let there be corn," and Ohio sprouted.
Boom.
But I mean,
Adam dined at. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, and Eve wasn't allowed in. No. That was back when women weren't allowed to eat in the restaurants.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, a simpler time. Some would argue a better time.
What? What the fuck?
But if you like at home right now, if you Google like Ohio.
Right.
You'll like a haunted. Don't just Google Ohio. That's stupid.
Haunted
If you go onto Google, you type in like
how many
haunted.
Books are there? There's like
Ohio.
3 or 4 or 5 books of haunted Ohio alone.
Exactly.
Right.
And first of all, and the
Props
reason
to the author.
there's also a bunch of. You need to be more specific. You need to look up like historical haunted, because if you look up haunted Ohio, you're gonna find a bunch of like the Halloween, because we have a shit ton of those Halloween scare fest things,
that's true.
which
Pop-up
a lot of
stores.
them are great, and
yeah.
pop-up stores. Dude,
Yeah.
they're wonderful.
Halloween Town.
They're wonderful. They're great. Anyway, so you had said, we should talk about some things, some ghost stories in town. And I looked into a couple of them, and that's all good. That's a good idea. And I do feel like we could do a whole episode
I feel
just
like
strictly
just by the
about
look
that.
on your face, you're flipping script on me, and he's trying to call. All right, let's
I'm
go.
gonna
Bring
flip
it.
script.
I knew it.
Because the problem is that all of the ones that I found, and I'll be fair, I didn't have the patience to sit through more than like 4 of them that I clicked on randomly. Because it was like a top 10 list.
You know what he did? He's like, research. I hate research.
No, I specifically did research.
Okay.
I have links. I gotta pull up an article. I'm gonna read you an. Don't you worry. You're getting a ghost story.
He did his homework.
Yeah. I
I'm gonna believe that one.
I did the assignment a little weird. So the one I didn't have the patience to read more than like 4 of them because it's all like
Corny.
John went home to like he went home to his house in
All right.
Middle Ohio.
Middle.
And he found his wife dead, who was already buried 3 days ago. Why was she in his freezer? And then he woke up and found out that she was cheating. Like, you know, it doesn't make any sense.
Get to the goods. What is it?
Okay.
Flip this script.
So I instead, I was like, what? Like, I want a really notable ghost story.
All right.
I want something that
It's infamous.
Yeah, something that like, and so I found a ghost story I've never heard of. It's from 1925 is when this happened. And a lot of people might already know about this if you're listening. If you do, that's sick because it's a really cool story. I had no idea. So this is from occultworld.com. This is the Chaffin Will case. Have you ever heard about the Chaffin Will case, either of you?
I don't think so.
Does it have anything to do with an axe murder?
No, there's no murders.
All right.
There's no murders.
Okay.
It's a ghost case. So
alright.
this is one of the only times
share.
in history,
Watson.
or like one of the few times, I'm not going to say only because I don't know how many times, but it's one of the, basically it's the first, like, ghost story that was, like, taken
Serious.
extremely seriously. This was the court case sprouted because of this.
And this is it in Ohio?
No.
Oh.
It's in North Carolina.
All right.
That's why I said I'm flipping the script. But I wanted something notable. Like, this has been studied. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay.
So, the Chaffin Will case is an unusual case in which, well, hang on. I'm sorry. We'll skip this part. I'm gonna get right into the story.
Get it.
I'm not gonna read the preamble. So, it's called the Chaffin Will case, right? James L. Chaffin was a farmer in North Carolina who had 4 sons, okay? In November of 1905, he made out a will, leaving his farm and all assets to his 3rd son, Marshall. He made no provisions for his wife and 3 other sons, John, James P., and Abner. Abner. I've heard that name somewhere before. It's kind of cool, I won't lie. Abner is kind of a cool name. I feel like Abner...
What's his last name?
Chaffin.
All right.
Abner Chaffin. Anyway, Abner's not very important in the story. Apparently, Chaffin later had a change of heart, perhaps after reading the Bible. Genesis 27 tells how Jacob deceived his father Isaac into giving him the birthright intended for his older brother. I'm not even going to try to say this. Esau. Ishmael? What did you just say?
Esau? E-S-A-U. It's Esau, I think.
Esau.
I've never read. I'm not religious. Anyway, in 1919, Chaffin executed a second will written in his own hand that stated, after reading the 27th chapter of Genesis, I, James L. Chaffin, do make my last will and testament, and here it is. I want, after giving my body a decent burial, my little property to be divided equally between my 4 children, if they are living at my death. Both personal and real estate divided equal, if not living, give share to their children. And if she is living, you must all take care of your mammy. Now this is my last will and testament. Witness my hand and seal. James L. Chaffin, this January 16th, 1919.
Okay.
Though not witness, apparently the will under North Carolina law was legal. So, he then took the will and hid it in his father's old Bible. He folded 2 pages from Genesis 27 together to form a pocket and hold the will, hidden in it. For reasons unknown, he said nothing to anyone of his new will. It is possible that he intended to do so at an appropriate moment, but was unable to follow through. Chapman did write a note, however, which said, read the 27th chapter of Genesis in my daddy's old Bible. He rolled up the note, tied it with a string, placed it on the inside pocket of his black overcoat, and stitched the pocket shut. Okay? Mm-hmm. On September 7th, he dies in 1921, September 7th. Chapman died of injuries sustained in a fall. His 1905 will, the original will, where he said everything goes to Marshall, was probated. And the estate went to Marshall and no one contested, right?
Right.
4 years later, in 1925, son James P. Chapman began having vivid dreams in which his father appeared at his bedside and stood in silence. In June of 1925, the deceased Chapman appeared by his bedside once again, dressed in his father's black overcoat, right? He took hold of his coat, pulled it back, like exposing the pocket, and said, you will find my will in my overcoat pocket, and then vanished. Okay? It's not certain whether the apparition of the father was external or appeared as a part of a dream. James was not certain that whether he was awake or asleep when the apparition appeared, and he may have been dozing, is what he was accounted in saying. But the next morning, James awoke convinced that his father had communicated with him for the purpose of clearing up some mistake. He went to his mother's home where he found out that the overcoat was in possession of his brother John. On July 6th, he visited John with an attorney to find the coat. And they found the coat. Upon examining it, James found the pocket that had been sewn shut. He opened it, found the note, read it.
Boom.
Right? James wisely found witnesses to accompany him back to his mother's to retrieve the Bible in question. They included Thomas Blackwelder, the neighbor, Blackwelder's daughter, and James's own daughter. So his neighbor was Thomas Blackwelder's daughter, and James's daughter. They found out the Bible and the will, right? The second will was filed in court and offered for probate. Marshall had died, but his widow and son contested the new will, right? The case came for trial in December of 1925. About a week before the trial, the deceased Chapman appeared again to James in an agitated state, saying, "Where is my old will?" James took this to be a sign that he would win the lawsuit. 10 witnesses were prepared to testify at the trial that the handwriting on the second will was that of the deceased Chapman. When shown the will, Marshall's widow and son acknowledged that the handwriting was Chapman's, and they withdrew their opposition. The old will was annulled and the new will was probated. So, interesting story.
Right.
Sorry it was a little long-winded, but, they give a lot of explanations. A lot of people, skeptical that maybe they wrote up the will because he was left out of it, so James, maybe with his brother John, even concocted a will, and they forged it, but it was agreed upon by multiple people, and even the contesting party in this lawsuit, that was the handwriting of his father.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And they would have had to have gotten possession of his coat.
Exactly. Like, how long is
pocket.
this con?
Right,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
And note, which I'm just going to note, that in this story that you just told, his father appeared to him when he was almost falling asleep.
Yeah.
You heard that voice when you were almost falling asleep.
Exactly.
That's when we're supposedly at our most
perceptive to other, because here's where I want to entertain the idea here that the whole ghost thing are real, right? I think that it's like a different dimension almost. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's energy that's passed into a different, because we have our 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, whatever. We don't know anything about the 5th or 6th or 7th, Mm-hmm. So what if it's breaches from that type of thing?
All right, well, I don't even remember what
you were talking about.
I said
we were going
I'm
down.
pretty sure he just mumbled a threat under his breath.
I did. I'm gonna freak out. I said it on the last episode, and I'll say it now. Ever since I've started, because I made the joke in a previous couple episodes, I was like, whenever we record, it becomes Uncommon Nonsense Studios, And so ever since I started, like, making, like, I put in some soundproofing into this room, like, I tried to make it a little bit like a at-home studio. Ever since then, my equipment that I had
Oh, Lord, here we go.
before I started calling it a studio has now started just crapping out. I had an audio interface that, like, its whole job is to make the sound from a dynamic microphone go into the computer and, like, communicate that. And it won't play sound back. I can't monitor my own microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I know that this episode is about ghosts, okay? But I just want to talk about deja vu and the strange experience that I am having right now with you sitting here talking about a bunch of electronic hoobla woobla that I don't give or know anything about.
I'm just saying.
Wasn't him, wait, no, I'm just saying, wasn't it him that looked at his own uncle and said, what? You have a room full of expensive equipment in it.
Grandpa said that. I just repeated it, okay?
But you agreed.
Listen.
So now you're experiencing, I'm pretty
just a
sure
boy.
what you just said, I've had this conversation with my brother before.
Well.
How equipment starts crapping out and this starts going bad and your doo-wopper don't hook up to the dookie wookie anymore. And
what the fuck?
yeah, exactly. That's what it sounds like to me when you're talking about all this shit. So
anyway, it aggravates me to my core.
You're a bit of a perfection.
Well, and I've become a bit of an audio snob, and the problem is, like,
I'm gonna tell you, when the day comes when we walk in here and there's a glass booth that we have to step into.
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. What people don't get, and what I didn't think about, and maybe, you can call me dumb in the comments, but I didn't realize it's about striking a balance. You cannot cancel all sound out, because if there's no room tone to what you're to your recording, it'll sound dead and creepy.
And like Christina Aguilera.
And not right. I've definitely heard recordings that sound like that and not been able to place what that is, and that's what it is. It's the fact that they've canceled all room sound, and that's good for, like, vocals. Like, if you're voiceovers, you're right. Or, like, if you're singing. You know what I mean? That's why they go into the soundproof booths to sing. You know what I mean? They don't want the room tone. Unless they get, like, an acoustic vibe, then that's different. I don't make music. I don't know exactly what I'm talking about. All I'm saying is that I have to strike a balance between finding a good room tone and not killing it. The audio. Either way. All this, back to the ghost.
Either way.
I do that a lot. Either way. Back to the ghost.
Listen, the bottom line is the will is in the fireproof box, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, I mean, is this where this is going?
I don't even so.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is I'm checking your fucking coat pockets.
He has one coat pocket. One suit.
And I'll be rooting through that thing the minute that he drops. But all I'm saying is that what if spirits and things are, like, because the problem is that we have trouble capturing them on photography and shit because people have a tendency to fake all that. You know what I mean? The most we can capture is, like, light specks that, like, are truly unexplained. That are like, oh, these aren't even dust. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, things that are so not concrete. Because here's my hypothetical theory for that. What if ghosts, spirits, are real? They are the energy of people that has passed on to a different dimension. Like, a different dimension of being in the same plane of existence, but just... Because, like, if you think about it, right? Animals perceive things totally different than we do.
Right.
Like, animals can see things, hypothetically, that aren't there. Or, like, can see colors that we don't.
There's a different
you know what I mean?
Spectrum to their, yeah.
So, what I think is that there's a possibility that this energy is passed into a different dimension and we just don't have the ability to comprehend it yet, or, like, interact with it with our technology.
I think we do,
despite
have
the little
total
bits that
ability to comprehend it. I think that we are so distracted by what is right in front of us, our own current dimension, that we don't pay attention to anything much beyond that.
Right.
It's now. I mean, think about it. It's work. It's every day you have to be in the now. You can't really sit there and be at work and be like, oh,
right.
if I sit here and who has the time and and it's sad, but that's the way it is.
Well, Dad has his lunch seances.
Right. Yeah.
He's a big fan of those.
He is. He does.
I mean,
Ouija board and a sandwich.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
sometimes a pendulum and a salad.
He's got the
Dowsing rod.
I was just about to
Yeah.
say. Well, because it's hard. You need both your hands for the dowsing rods. So he's got the dowsing rods and the helmet with the two Mountain Dew cans in it,
nice.
and the straw. And
Like
he's
for the-
walking around and he's sucking down dew and dowsing in the office, and people are like doing like computer work and just looking at him like, what? He's like, "Hey, Deborah."
I'll just say,
Only on
You know.
Tuesdays.
checking for ghosts. You're all good here. This house is clear.
Hey, tell Jim I got those reports done. And they're like,
And-
ding, like ticking together. And he's like, oh, there's a. But
No.
either way,
Either way.
this chaffing
way.
case.
Oh, here we go.
Either
There
way,
it was.
I'm going to say it a
The
million
classic.
times now that you
You see
pointed
this,
out. We're
what I
going to
live
notice
with.
that I say it a million times per episode. But the chaffing case, like, the thing is that when it went to court, and again, this was 1925, so I don't know when the Salem witch trials again happened. When was that? Like 1800s. But like, even think like 1925. You know what I mean? We weren't super. It was the Roaring 20s. There was
Right.
still racism aplenty. You know what I mean? We weren't super there yet. But these people were like psychologically analyzed. The will finder, James P. Chaffin, and according to the psychoanalysis in
All systems go,
1925,
they're fine, right?
they had never, like, because they were specifically looking for if they had prior knowledge of the will, and according to them, it was impossible that they didn't show any signs of knowing.
right.
You know what I mean? And like, I don't know what the testing would have
Okay,
consisted
so-
of, but
Like,
are you lying?
right.
You have to tell me. This is a test. And it's
I don't know.
1925.
I believe
so
it.
if
I
you
mean,
don't
I
tell
totally
me,
think that's possible and it's true and that could happen.
one jarring transition later. Sorry about that. It's definitely not a completely different day, possibly 2 weeks later, because we definitely didn't have some really dumb technical difficulties, which is, hey, it's all part of the process. But we're back, and we're still talking about gosh dang ghosts. All right. So when we left off, if you'll remember, about half a fucking month ago, I was telling you guys about the Chaffin will case. Several explanations were considered for the case. The most obvious explanation that James P. Chaffin, upset about being cut out of his father's will, forged a new will, a more favorable one, and then concocted the ghost story. So, that's he lied, right? Maybe he lied.
But
However-
the ghost story and the will. I mean,
Right,
I mean,
that's
you
what
have to
they're
come
saying.
up
They're
with a
saying that he
will,
forged the will and
Make
the
up a story.
Gotcha.
Go find this coat
Convince
pocket.
multiple people of it.
Right,
And it even says, however, the handwriting of Chaffin in the second will was validated as genuine. And if the son, James P. Chaffin, somehow did commit a forgery, there was no need for him to wait 4 years or create a ghost story. He could have simply found the new will, which would have been much more plausible.
Right.
right.
Like, say he did forge a will and then hid it in his father's coat and was like, hey, do you have Dad's old coat? Like, I would really like to have Dad's old coat. You know what I mean? And then they give it to him. He's like, hey, I found this will.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
why would you wait 4 years?
why would you sew it in the pocket and let your brother take it for 4 years and then
Right.
go back for it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a long time. You're either
It's a
really
long con.
patient,
Right.
maniacal, or that has to be truthful. I mean, I would assume it's truthful.
A second
I believe
explanation is that the surviving Chaffins knew of the existence of the second will, but a North Carolina attorney who was interested in parapsychology thoroughly interviewed James P. Chaffin, his wife, daughter, and mother, and concluded that none of them had any prior knowledge of the second will. The lawyer said he was impressed with the Chaffin's honesty and sincerity.
Again, even if they had knowledge, why would they wait that?
Right.
You wouldn't if you're doing it for greed, which is obviously the ultimate intention behind it, right?
Yeah, you're not going to wait 4 years.
Why would you wait? 4 years.
That's a long time.
That is a long time.
A third explanation holds that James P. Chaffin had prior knowledge of the will but had forgotten it. which doesn't make... If you have a will that's giving you
Right.
half
Come
of
on,
an
man.
estate, you're not going to
Yeah.
forget about it.
You're
But
no
okay.
way, Jose.
The information may have been telepathically transmitted between father and son. The information was brought back to the son's attention by the apparition, which was a figment of his dreams. This is possible, but not likely, given the known facts concerning the case. It is doubtful that the father revealed the new will to anyone. Otherwise, he would not have gone to such great lengths to hide it.
Yeah.
The 4 years lapse also cannot be adequately accounted for by this theory. So I don't understand this theory at all.
Kind of so, I don't know.
The information may have been telepathically transmitted between father and son.
That doesn't make any sense.
So while the father was still alive,
Yeah.
after he had written the second will,
He's like, son.
But then you still have the 4 years, though.
Right.
but he had forgot, and then he remembered after his father. It's stupid. The fourth explanation is that during his sleep, during his sleep, son. I don't know why I said that. A fourth explanation is that during sleep, son James, through clairvoyance, obtained knowledge of the will, which was then projected onto an apparition to persuade himself that the information was true. This is possible, and if valid, it negates the case as evidence of survival after death. So, that's offering that he had some moment of pure insight and had to convince himself that it was true, so he made the ghost story and believed it in order to his brain to convince himself, hey, again, who fucking knows? Finally, it must be considered that a genuine apparition of the dead did appear to son James and deliver information by telepathy that was unknown to him. This theory supports survival after death. It also makes the case an unusual one, for it involves both sight and hearing on the part of James, the percipient. The 4-year lapse gives added strength to the theory that this causes a genuine example of survival.
Right.
It is unlikely that information telepathically transmitted just prior to Chapin's death would not surface for 4 years. Nonetheless, the case remains inconclusive, and none of these explanations can be proven. So, I found this very interesting because nobody has an answer, but everyone acknowledged that it happened. You know what I mean? Everyone was like, this is a true thing, you know? He wasn't lying about the will. He really gained some kind of knowledge, outside knowledge about the will.
How?
And how,
Right.
you know? And it's like, and even still to this day, you know what I mean? This was in 1925. People have no idea. It's been almost 100 years.
I feel like, I don't know, this is going to sound corny, but first of all, I want to say this. I cannot get Dumbledore out of my head where he's like, of course it's happening in your head, Harry. Doesn't mean it's not real, you know?
Yeah, from there in the movie.
But here's another theory. I think it's an old grumpy man who wrote a will, realized, okay, maybe after reading the Bible, getting close to death, second thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
I messed up.
Right.
I'm a prideful old dude. I'm not going to go to my kids and be like, hey, look, I kind of screwed up. So I'll just make this fun little, read the Bible, learn some lessons, kids, and then you're going to find my actual will. Here
Right.
it is. Obviously, nobody did that.
Yeah.
He gave him a little bit of time before he came back and was like, hey.
So you think it was a genuine...
I think it was a genuine experience.
It was a genuine ghost.
I think there's multiple cases of that. I feel like there's multiple studies and cases of where in between sleep and awake, alpha, I believe is the mode that they call it, like your alpha state before you're into beta, you know, how you go into all these different brain modes, right?
You've gone on to a whole different podcast. You're talking about some like Andrew Tate, alpha and beta shit.
I'm just saying that there's multiple studies where if you're in alpha state, that's basically the state of when you're daydreaming, if you're just gazing off, if you're about to fall asleep, where people have had experiences of either communication with the dead, hearing their name called, sleep paralysis where you feel like someone's holding you down, you know you're not asleep but you're not awake, shit like that has happened.
Yeah.
I think that's when we are most vulnerable for those things to occur. I personally believe I've had that happen.
Right.
As I was falling asleep. You yourself have told
me
as you're falling asleep, you hear someone call your name.
Well, yeah, I think I think that was one of my specific stories. I mean, from when we talked about it last time was I was in our house.
Is there something about being in that state of relaxation, whatever you want to call it, that makes you more open to ghosts, whatever,
Yeah.
being able to come through,
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Dad, where you sit on it? Do you think that this was some kind of ghost, or do you think this guy was just nuts? I mean, like...
I don't know. Because the will benefited him, it
Right.
it always kind of, there's always that room for doubt.
Yeah.
Really is. I mean, he could have stewed on it for 4 years.
And decided
and then,
whether or
now
not...
my brother's dead.
Yeah.
You
That's
know, and
true.
His widow has everything
He
that
did...
was my
What if he was
family's.
waiting for the brother to die?
Yeah.
I mean, because he didn't want to challenge his brother,
Right.
but it's a lot easier to challenge the
widow.
Right. Well...
Just go in there and be like, give me my money, bitch.
But see, like in 1925, they couldn't do a
Handed it.
handwriting thing like they could now.
No.
Like they could almost
And that's
literally
the-
say that it is absolutely not
Right.
a forgery, or it is.
Yeah.
You know?
And even, they said that they examined the family and everything to tell if they were lying or not. This was also in 1925.
Right,
I mean, how extensive did it go?
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, so I can't tell you, how extensive it really was, but
Well, I was there and it was crazy.
was it?
It was awful.
What's it like hitting over 100?
Right.
Almost 100.
It's brutal.
It's
I mean,
pretty
Well, it depends how old were you when it took place, then that would be the
cool. I
decipher.
know.
old
mean,
enough
if
to
you're-
understand.
I was
and
already
it
like
was
40.
brutal.
Oh, okay, so it was brutal.
It was brutal.
Well, we do have the oldest man alive on the podcast right now, so that is pretty cool.
That is
um,
awesome. Congratulations, sir.
Dad doesn't like being immortal.
Isn't that
It's hard watching your friends and family.
I mean, yeah, why don't you just admit it?
You outlive
Dude,
all of them, and
I mean,
you have to
how
get a new.
often do you have to eat the hearts of small children in order to stay?
Do you drink the adrenochrome?
Note
I
the
had
silence.
Pork chops.
Ooh,
Pork chops for dinner.
wait.
Scientology?
Oh, now he calls them pork chops.
Yeah, right.
Just, fry up some souls and call them pork chops.
Just because that kid was a little tubby doesn't mean you can call him pork,
That's
right?
rude. I mean, seriously.
This better not be on the podcast.
It's an interesting story, I think, just because of, like, how many people are involved. If it's 1 to 3 people that are like, yeah, we played with a Ouija board and James Chaffin came back and said, hey, my will isn't right. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he had 10 witnesses. Even the opposing people in court were like,
I just think it's
It
extensive.
is his handwriting.
yeah.
And that's a really extensive hoax. Like, you have to go get the Bible. Take the Bible page out of the Bible. Fold it
His
up.
daddy's Bible.
His daddy's Bible. You took my pappy's
You took his pappy's Bible for a hoax? I'm just saying. I don't know how deep we'll get into this because there's a lot of talk in this that I don't understand. But basically, what if I told you, right, that they recreated ghosts
No, stop it. I just saw
in
what
a
you're-
lab?
Are you kidding? How?
Ghostly
No.
presence created in lab is the headline of this BBC article.
What, okay. You got me.
Right? See?
Continue.
Yeah. See, Mom was like, do some research. I want to hear some cool stuff.
What is that?
Knocking it out of the park over here. Dad's impressed.
In a lab. He's creating one right now.
Yeah,
He's
right.
creating a ghostly
We're creating
effect.
ghosts right here in
on
the
this
studio.
podcast.
Right here in Uncommon Nonsense Studios, there's a ghostly effect.
I heard it. Did you hear it? Because it was ghostly.
So anyway,
And ghastly.
and ghastly.
Get it? Wait a minute. What? Now go do projectors, lighting, plasma, what? Tell.
Sorry, I gotta loosen my trachea.
3D imaging.
Feelings of a ghostly presence, the sense that someone is close by when no one is there, lie in the mind, a study has concluded. Scientists say that they have identified the parts of the brain that are responsible for generating these spooky sensations. They've also created an experiment that makes some people feel like there's a ghost nearby. This research is published in the journal Current Biology. There are many tales of the paranormal, but an often reported phenomenon is that of the invisible apparition. Oh my god, with these fucking names. I'm sorry, I don't
Dr.
mean...
X. Well,
it's
just,
Giulio Rognini. Giulio Rognini? I don't know. He's from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. So if I butchered that, my apologies, but no disrespect meant. He says the sensation is very vivid. They feel somebody, but they cannot see it. It is always a felt presence. He said it was common in those who've experienced extreme conditions such as Mount mountaineers, and explorers, and people with some neurological conditions, among others. What is astonishing is that they frequently report that the movements they are doing or the posture they are in, or the posture they are assuming in that specific moment is replicated by the presence.
That's crazy.
By the presence. So if the patient is sitting, they feel the presence is sitting. If they are standing, the presence is standing, and so on. So whatever they're doing, they feel this ghostly apparition is doing also in this experiment. To investigate, the researchers scanned the brains of 12 people with neurological disorders who had reported experiencing a ghostly presence. Okay. They found that all these patients had some kind of damage in the parts of brain associated with self-awareness, movement, and the body's position in space. In further tests, the scientists turned to 48 healthy volunteers who had not previously experienced the paranormal and devised an experiment to alter the neurological signals in these regions of the brain. Alright, so here's what they did. They blindfolded the participants and asked them to manipulate a robot with their hands. As they did this, another robot traced these exact movements on the volunteers' backs. When the movements at the front and back of the volunteer's body took place at the exact same time, they reported nothing strange, right? So when it was 1-to-1, like they move the robot and the robot moves on their back in the exact same time, in the exact same way, nothing strange. But when there was a delay between the timing of the movements, 1/3 of the participants reported feeling that there was a ghostly presence in the room, and some reported feeling up to 4 apparitions were there, like in the room with them. Two of the participants found the sensation so strange they asked for the experiment to stop. The researchers say that these strange interactions with the robot are temporarily changing brain function in the regions associated with self-awareness and perception of the body's position. The team believes when people sense a ghostly presence, the brain is getting confused. It's miscalculating the body's position and identifying it as belonging to someone else. Dr. Rognini said, "Our brain possesses several representations of our body in space. Under normal conditions, it is able to assemble a unified self-perception of the self from these representations. But when the system malfunctions because of disease, or in this case, a robot, this can sometimes create a second representation of one's own body, which is no longer perceived as me, but someone else, a presence."
Bullshit.
The researchers said that their findings could help to better understand neurological conditions such as schizophrenia. Man, I really struggled with that last bit there, but crazy. So he says that it's basically our brains lagging in a way and not being able to tell exactly where we are in a room. So you feel as though somebody else is in the room for a minute and it's actually you. And it's your brain being like, well, we're actually here, so we can't be here. And like freaking out for a second. And so obviously we don't, like, your brain doesn't know what to do with that, so it replaces it with, it's a spooky ghost.
That might make a little bit of sense, maybe, but what about when you actually see something or hear something?
I don't know. See, but here's the thing, is that, and I don't have an article for this one, I just have a little bit of a tidbit that I wrote, but apparently scientists say that we've evolved to hallucinate at least a little bit for preservation, a sort of better safe than sorry response. We manufacture something to be afraid of in case there's something dangerous there, even when there may not be. So,
okay, like the monster in the closet.
Exactly, and that, if you think about it, that kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how often, like, imagine, here's what I think of. Camping. We've done our fair share of camping, family camping trips and like whatnot. There's always, like, even, I mean, I guess the last time I went really camping, I was kind of young, but it always feels like there's something out there in the woods. Well, as soon as it gets dark and you're like around the fire, it feels like that is your safe spot around the fire. The minute that you leave, you know what I mean? You breach the edge of the forest, that dark tree line, there's something back there. Yeah. Am I wrong? No. It feels like, it always feels like that.
M. Night Shyamalan made a whole movie about it.
Yeah.
You don't
that
know.
Is your brain being like, it's safer to not go in there just because like there could be something in there.
Create images, like face images of cloud.
Right,
The brain can do a lot of things, but I'm talking about when there's actual multiple people in a room and you see something walk past. You're going to sit there and say everyone's brains in those moments were glitching.
Well,
I mean,
that's a good point, but I also, just to play devil's advocate, there is the phenomenon of mass hysteria. So there's a lot of documented cases of mass hysteria that are very interesting. Mm-hmm. But one of the main things that humans do, right, is we communicate with each other. You know what I'm saying? We to communicate dangers and whatnot. But even through like our body languages and shit.
Right.
So in like areas of being afraid, it's like think about when you're freaked out. You can't often remember exactly what happened. You know what I mean? Unless it's like you're the only one there. You know what I'm saying? You firsthand. What I'm saying is, it's possible if like a group of these people experience a noise, right? Like let's say it's a random noise. One person hears a knock. It was a knock on the door.
Right. Again,
you know what I'm
we're
saying?
Going back to perception.
Then they say, I heard a knock.
Right.
Another person who might have heard something and not sure what it is now convinced it was a knock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it snowballs.
Right.
There's one mass hysteria that is absolutely insane. So in 1939, an epidemic of leg twitching erupted at a high school in Bellevue, Louisiana. So this one girl, essentially, I believe it was a girl. This is from this is the National Library of Medicine National Library of Medicine website. It's called the Louisiana Leg Twitching Epidemic of 1939. So, the case of mass hysteria involved several female high school students, all from the same high school. It first started when a popular senior named Helen experienced a sharp pain and twitch in her leg during her high school's annual homecoming dance. Soon, several of her friends were also affected by this extremely painful sensation of their legs. Rumors of this condition spread very quickly throughout the school, and for almost 1 week, many students didn't come to school out of fear that they would catch the twitching. So Helen was popular. She was a popular senior at her high school, right? Who happened another popular senior. Oh, I'm sorry. Who it happened another popular senior from her high school. Her boyfriend was supposedly showing interest in another girl.
When she started getting the painful twitch?
Yeah, this girl was apparently a very skilled dancer in contrast to Helen, who hated dancing.
Oh,
so they were at the homecoming dance. Helen hates dancing. Her boyfriend is talking to a girl who is very good at dancing.
She gets the evil twitch.
This event is generally considered to be an example of mass hysteria because it affected so many people around Helen for no medical reason other than the theory that these girls' subconsciousness were responsible for the physical manifestation of pain. Investigators believe that Helen's subconsciousness sent the signals to her legs that made her feel the pain in order to give her an excuse to not dance at the homecoming dance and gain sympathy from her boyfriend.
Sweet Lord.
Investigators also believe that Helen's friends started exhibiting these symptoms too, so they too could get affection from others, or like attention, just attention from other people for being sick and sympathy.
I mean, they all just want attention
from the one guy.
These whores.
The twitching epidemic of 1939 is an example of mass hysteria because it caused collective delusions of threats. The twitching.
What?
Which spread rapidly through rumors and fear. This is the sociological definition of mass hysteria, proving that by definition it is considered mass hysteria. So either way, one girl gets random, painful,
right? All of a sudden gets the twitch,
and her friends get it.
She made up, and it's
awful.
contagious.
Right, it's contagious.
And then every girl in her school,
Bethany
all of a sudden,
got it.
Right.
Bethany's sister has it.
Right. Bethany's sister,
you probably
Sue Ellen
have
got it. Mary Lou got it.
So what I'm saying is, the reason that has any relevance to the ghost topic is because our brains, even collectively, do really, really whack shit.
You can create tulpas. They even say Bigfoot's a supposed tulpa. Like, a creation of so many people believing that it's real.
That it's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess overall,
I'm going to try an experiment and get the twitch itch, and see if y'all get it. It's terrible.
I'm going to call it the stanky leg.
Much like, okay, if we're going back
to take a few days off.
I can't come in today, boss.
Like,
I got the stanky leg.
That was
twitch in my
actually
leg.
what caused the Salem witch trials. Was
The twitching?
The twitch.
No,
itch,
it wasn't.
itch,
It was Tituba.
the mass hysteria. No.
Yeah.
It was the accusations
Tituba.
of a young girl claiming that this...
And them
Because
following.
Tituba
Right.
was a witch.
She-
I don't know. I read that's from the book.
You gotta...
You just like saying that.
don't-
What's the-
don't
what's the
throw-
book?
Don't throw shit out
I
there.
do like
Don't-
saying that, Tituba. What's the book? You know the book that got turned into a movie?
No.
Mom?
No, I don't.
Shut up. Come on, it's about the Salem witch trials, Mom.
It's
It's
probably
got
called
John-
the
it's
Salem-
It's got
Crucible.
John Proctor,
The
the
Crucible.
Crucible.
It's
I love.
very good.
Hey, we had to
Tituba was
read
not
that.
A witch. You don't know that.
No, it was no.
And careful how you
yeah,
throw that
yeah.
weight.
We had to read. Hey, no
I'll
offense to
give
all the
you the
pagans out
finger.
there. There's real pagans out there, so no offense. Hey,
No offense.
more power to you.
Pagan props.
Enjoy your crystals or whatever. But what I will say is that we had to read the Crucible in high school, and everyone else hated it, and I was one of the only kids that liked it, and I
Really?
thought that I was weird. I was like, I'm a weird kid for liking this. But anyway, all that to say,
I liked all of them.
ghosts, right? Bottom line,
Boom.
are they real or not? You know,
I'm gonna-
I don't think that
I'm-
we have the authority to say yes or no here, but we can say what we believe.
I believe yes. I believe that just from what I have experienced, that your grandfather shows me every day of my life that he's around. And he's been gone for how many years now? There's not a day that goes by that he doesn't send me some little signal.
Right.
So yeah, I firmly believe in it, but that's me.
What about you, Dad?
I think more things can be explained than most people try to.
Right,
Uh-huh.
right. I think there's also people that exaggerate. I
Yeah.
think you know, you can
Right.
see a puff of smoke or something and be like, ooh, you know,
Right.
there's liars, there's exaggerators. But here's the rope.
Well, and I think it was like my thing is I'm very what I don't know how you would say it, but I'm very like I'm very skeptical of everything, right?
Yeah.
The UFO thing, right? I mean, people were told they were insane for believing that UFOs existed for years. And now we have our own government saying, oh, I hit the mic. Now we have our own government saying, hey, there are UFOs and here's videos of them.
We
and,
have some, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So is it the same thing with ghosts? Are we just not there yet to be able to be like,
Right.
okay, yeah, we do. So my thing is that like I've had experiences personally, as you know. I've had, stories be told to me that are very, very convincing. I don't want to, the last thing I want to do is hear what somebody tells me and be like, well, you're wrong because this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's all based on your perception in that moment. But I just don't, I don't think, until a ghost appears before me and grabs me and says, I am a ghost,
That's why it's never
see
gonna
me
happen.
now.
It's never going to happen.
I
It
don't think
doesn't
that I'll
happen
ever
that way.
wholeheartedly believe.
'Cause
But
it-
that
'cause it-
being said, I will always be a little creeped out when I'm walking up the stairs and the lights off. You know what I mean?
Scooby and the gang, though. There's never going to be the goblin ghost man. That's
It's
gonna
Mr.
grab
Johannes
you.
Fonson.
Yeah, and be like, oh, see me now.
Right.
It's always shit that A, you can't explain, B, did that happen or not, because they're only given glimpses, like little tiny bits and pieces of us, and vice versa.
Yeah.
They're not here anymore. They're not
Right.
where we're at, and we're
Exactly.
not where they're at. We can't get to where they're at, just
It-
like it's hard as hell for them to get to where we
Right.
are. Just
It could
to
be like
even
just a
say-
whole nother dimension thing.
Right.
So then hypothetically, if Casper, the friendly ghost, were real, would you vote for him?
No,
No.
No.
But hypothetically,
But what if you, but like,
but I would be his friend.
but why wouldn't you vote for him? He is friendly. That's very easy.
I just
Yeah.
want to ask, okay, the day that we were on vacation in Michigan and your little ass decided to climb the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to bring this
Did
up.
we talk about the light? I don't think we talked about the
No.
lighthouse.
And that old man with the white ass beard
So
and the shirt and the suit
Yeah.
and all that comes walking up
the
to mom,
yeah,
where dad and sister and Cohen had already been pushing ahead because dad was they had the stroller at that time.
So, well, we should give full context to what happened.
What?
So, here's what happened at the lighthouse.
What did happen?
Who
On
fucking
vacation
knows?
In Michigan.
We're on vacation in Michigan.
Maybe.
Beautiful place. And here's the rub. I'm going to say this before I tell the story. We had planned to go to Florida, and that was when Hurricane, I think it was Irma, was
One of them,
sweeping
yeah,
through
just
Florida
ruined-
and wrecking everything.
Wrecked.
So we didn't go to Florida. So everyone's like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? We're sitting at the dinner table. Collin says, I've seen the commercials. Let's go to Michigan. And everyone looked at me like I was fucking insane. And even Chelsea was the first one. My sister was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why Michigan? And was that not one of the best vacations we've ever had? If not the best.
Either way,
I mean, it was
yeah.
very, very great. It's beautiful in Michigan. The Great Lakes,
Think about
they
it.
call
I
them
just
great
had an
for a
epiphany.
reason.
Makes even more sense. That Lake Michigan is connected to the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Where ships would come in, right?
Yeah.
Into
Well, that's why there's a
Lake
lighthouse.
Michigan.
That's what the lighthouse is
Right.
for. Exactly.
If it's hurricanes, fucking everything around, even more reason why the ghost would be out there
Yeah.
on
Well,
the thing,
so-
watching.
So here's what happened. We're on vacation in Michigan. We took one of the days of our vacation to go see the Great Lakes. We find a lighthouse on one of these lakes where you have to walk, you know what I mean, out to the lighthouse. It's like on like a, you know, it's out kind of on the water.
What
You have
was
to
the name
walk
of
down
the
like a
town?
dock or
Anyone
whatever.
remember?
Traverse City.
Traverse
City, yeah.
Traverse City
So
Lighthouse.
beautiful town,
Googled
beautiful
it.
little place. But
Remember the dude? We Googled him.
yeah,
We found his
So-
picture.
we go to this lighthouse. We all had walked down the pier or whatever you would call it to get to where the lighthouse actually is. And we're at the base of the lighthouse.
One
We're
way
looking
in,
one way
way
in, one way out.
Thank you.
It's one long stretch of dock surrounded by lake water.
Boom.
So we walk down it. We're at the lighthouse. There's a guy fishing. There's the only dude there. He's a nice gentleman sitting in a folding chair fishing. Whatever.
Right.
We look at the water.
Nothing.
We look at the lighthouse.
I mean,
Take
fishing.
some pictures.
Nice.
Right? It was
Cool.
great. And we're like, excellent. Let's go back to the beach now. We've seen our lighthouse walk. We turn around. Dad, Chelsea, and Cohen, my nephew, have already begun walking down the pier.
But you got a glimpse of him at that moment too, right? As you guys were, or did you ever see him?
I don't think so.
Maybe they didn't ever see him.
I don't think, no, it was just us.
Then that's
So-
weirder.
Me and Mom had hung back a little bit. We were a little bit behind.
Oh my god.
And we walk past this lighthouse where there's a ladder on the side to get, you know,
Where
presumably
to?
for maintenance.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
Yeah.
know, because you're obviously not going to climb to the top
It's
of the
like an
lighthouse on a
iron
ladder on the
ladder.
outside.
But
And it
you,
had like
Dingle-dungus,
you know, there's only a little bit exposed. There was a cage. So I climbed the small amount of ladder that was exposed, and I was like, haha, Mom, I'm climbing the ladder. And she goes, get off the ladder. You know, get down.
It's not funny.
So I'm looking down at my mom, and I'm like, okay.
and
and I look over her shoulder.
I'm looking up at you, I feel someone coming
Yeah.
up to me.
Well, because I look over her shoulder, and there's a man,
And
an
I was
older
like,
man.
okay. And I turn around.
He was in a gray suit, or it was like it was dark blue.
Dark blue.
It was
white
a dark
shirt,
blue suit with a white shirt, and he had a hat on,
and he had a
white beard. Old man
Old
looked so tired.
And
He looked so tired.
It's sad. And he had his hand out
And he was walking as if he was coming up to Mom to talk to her.
to say
So
something.
I drop from the ladder, and Mom, immediately feeling the presence of a person, is like, "Come on, let's go." And we
It
start
was
walking.
Kinda weird. I didn't know he was trying
Came
to
out of
touch me.
nowhere.
It felt like
Came
he
out
was
of
trying-
nowhere.
I'm not kidding you.
So we start walking.
Oh.
We round this little side of the lighthouse, and we are talking about, wow, I wonder what that guy wanted.
looking behind
That was
us,
weird.
Yeah, like he
And we
still-
look
yeah.
around, and he never
Never came around.
came down the dock. And I mean, after we walked off of that dock, we sat on that beach.
for
There
like
was a
an
beach.
hour.
Over an hour. It was like an
He
hour and a
never-
half to 2 hours.
He
Never came off of that dock.
never came.
He never walked off of that
He
dock.
didn't, Colin.
And
He
there was
really
not a
didn't.
spot. Because, like, then, here's the thing.
There's
He
nowhere
didn't
to
walk
go.
off the dock. Where did he go?
Right.
Did he climb the ladder?
Did he just?
Was he
into the
going to say,
fucking
get
lake?
off of the ladder because I'm climbing the ladder? No. He was, like, frail. He can't climb the ladder.
No.
You didn't hear a splash. If he
No.
would have jumped in the water, there wouldn't have a splash. I'm telling you, this dude fucking was not there.
Here's the...
Maybe he's the lighthouse keeper. He lives there still.
But then where'd he go?
There's nowhere to
to his
go. That
room.
place was
We
locked.
would have heard a door.
No, there was
You would have heard a door,
They
Chloe.
They don't
maintain
live
it.
there anymore.
They don't. Yeah, they don't.
What the hell are you talking about?
This isn't like that movie with Robert
The
Pattinson
thing
and
that
Willem
blew my
Dafoe.
mind the most, I'm not kidding you, is that he looked as real as you and me. Like, there was no seeing through him. There was no, like, oh, this is a spooky, ghostly. That was a fucking person walked up. And I felt like he was saying to me, get your son off the line.
Get off the line. Probably. But here's the thing.
Like, please, ma'am, I'm really tired. Just get your brat off the fucking line.
I'm so sick of doing this.
Yeah.
But, as Dad did say, a lot of things can be explained, you know.
Explain
so,
that.
I have no explanation because we hurried away in such fear. We were already afraid at that point. You know what I'm saying? I was already uncomfortable. I'm just saying, maybe there's some kind of explanation. That is the reason why.
Day. Why would you be in a leisure suit?
That's true. It was hot.
It was fucking hot as hell out there that day. That
being said, though, I was in a black hoodie.
Stroke.
I was wearing a black hoodie, and I remember being hot, but I was wearing a black hoodie.
Old.
No, all I'm saying is that had that guy walked up and grabbed you and been like, "I'm a ghost, hear me now," then you know what I mean. But all I'm saying is that it's very convincing.
Google the captain of Traverse City and the ghost story. There's a story about it online, and there's a picture of the guy, and you tell me that's not the dude that walked up to us, and I will bite shiitake mushroom.
We'll see what Google has to say. I'll Google Traverse City, Michigan
lighthouse ghost. I'm just saying. If it's not that dude that I saw walk up to me with his hand out, my name's not Mumsy.
Oh,
what? Excuse me?
Oh, nope, this isn't it. Because this is a woman.
No.
The story of the Grand Traverse Lighthouse Ghost.
Keep going. There's another one.
Nope, only one.
Oh, okay. Well, here you go. This is the top. This is the top little bit to get you into it. This is on mynorth.com, by the way. My great-great-great-grandfather, Danish ship captain Peter Nelson, was the lighthouse keeper at the Grand Traverse Lighthouse from October 12th, 1874 to July 11th, 1890. He died 2 years later. I'm going to sleep at the lighthouse tonight alone to see if he'll speak to me.
Let's see a picture.
Nice.
This is just it's a whole recounting of this person. But, oh, shit.
There's not a lot of pictures from back then.
Shit, dude.
No.
Oh, man. Yeah. Captain Peter Nelson.
Stop it.
Do you want to see him?
I did not.
I've
seen, oh my God. I can't.
He's wearing the shirt in the photo.
Stop it.
He has the shirt on.
Stop it.
It's the blue coat and white shirt in the photo. It's black and white, but I mean, the shirt is definitely white.
No. Yep, that's him.
So, yeah, I mean...
That's who came up to us, dude.
I guess I'll put a pic... If you're watching on YouTube, there's a picture of him on the screen. Rip Captain Peter Nelson. If you came up to me at a lighthouse, man, what the fuck? Because, I mean, as far as and I will say this was a couple years ago, but that is very, very, very much the man that we saw. So I don't know. I mean, hey, are they real? Who's to say? Who's to say if ghosts are real or not?
I can't.
That's why I had you here. That was the whole point.
You're the expert. Where's
yeah,
his
I
agent?
mean, I think, yeah.
Fucking agent on the phone.
I'm gonna have to talk to some people because this is just devastating. But we might not know, if ghosts are real.
Right.
But what is real is this podcast. So, if you like this podcast and you want it to continue being a thing, click that like button down there and the subscribe button.
What was that captain's name again? Rest in peace.
Captain, let's look. Maybe I bet he would have subscribed.
Yeah, sorry
if
that
he
Collin disrupted your lighthouse. There.
If he were alive,
Holy
dude, if he were still here,
dude, you got me in trouble with the ghost.
We should go
have
back
gotten
and
me
try
into-
to find him and get him
I
on the
know-
podcast.
Oh, wow.
I want to talk to Danish ship captain Peter Nelson.
Peter Nelson.
He was the lighthouse keeper of the Grand Traverse Lighthouse.
I think we did. Try to grab
Well,
me.
I want to talk to. I want to be like, listen, what is it that you wanted to say? And he's like,
That was too close. Let me see him again.
hang on, I guess, bro. There you go. Put him up one more time.
That's not
Put
the
him up
guy.
on the
That's
screen.
not
There
the
he
guy.
is.
That's not
He
him.
looks so
Look at that. You said
freaking tired.
See, that's what you said.
He looks
It's just
so
a
He
creepy
looks so
old
tired, and that is exactly.
Does this man not look tired?
Come on.
He's an old dude. He's
The white
tired.
He's
beard.
tired.
He is
no, dude.
That's a tired man.
That's a and he was tired of your bullshit.
Right.
Yeah, he did
He
not
was-
want me on that
man.
ladder.
Which on that trip,
Even in the
I was
afterlife-
tired of your bullshit. So I understood. That's why I didn't understand
He's
why
like,
you guys didn't
I
understand.
gotta deal with these little shits in my afterlife, climbing my lighthouse.
Right.
I want to talk
Hurricane
to.
going on.
I want to talk to this person. This is like the.
I don't.
the
Don't say
person-
that. He's already made contact.
No, I'm not talking. Well,
Oh.
I mean, like not Peter Nelson, but this is the great granddaughter
You should.
or daughter of Peter Nelson
I would reach
that
out.
wrote this. I'm gonna be like, hey, I believe I saw your grandfather. Let's
Yeah.
talk about.
Yes,
That would be
Right.
crazy to have her on the podcast.
Right.
But anyway, if you have any crazy ghost stories, maybe we could do an episode where we react to people's ghost stories if they want to send them in. I would love to hear them. You can email me at uncommonnonsensepod@gmail.com. I'll put it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Spotify, it'll be in the little description. But yeah, I appreciate you tuning in. I hope that this episode wasn't too spooky for you. It was a little, I just wanted to.
That was crazy.
I think I look at things like very skeptically all the time. And so when you said let's talk about ghosts, I was like, well, the angle I'm going for is,
Proof.
And
So what's better proof than your own experience that we still cannot explain?
right. I mean, I guess that's what it all boils down
Either
to.
it was that
you know?
dude or the old dude we saw took a long swim in Lake Michigan.
Right. And yeah.
There's one.
Or he sat there fishing with the other guy.
He didn't. Did you see a pole?
No,
In a
yeah, he
suit-
didn't.
in a
And like,
Sunday suit.
he didn't even have a chair.
Sunday
You can
suit
just
with
sit. He didn't have anything.
Right.
You can just sit
Why
just
you
on the
gonna be
concrete
dressed up?
and fish with your hand.
Fishing. I'm gonna wear my suit to go
He
fishing
dove.
on
Well,
the
he
beach.
would
No.
dove in and would bite the fish and bring him out like a bear. That's how
Right.
they did it back in the day.
In Michigan.
Anyway, thank you for
Weird.
listening. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for coming back. I'm sure we will hear more from you again soon. But yeah,
And Dad's agent, because he's gonna have hell complaints about the lack
I
of
hear
the
enough from
M&Ms.
Dad's
I mean,
agent. I
you
don't
know
need to
that's
hear
coming.
any more from Dad's agent.
Well, you failed on the M&Ms.
You'd think it'd be easier to get your own parents on a podcast, you know? I mean, it's all this agent talk and my
Mammy,
people calling your
yeah.
people and the lawyers and
yourself.
shit. I mean, I got a sore throat.
I
I had
for
to
like a
sort
month and a
through
half.
a bowl of M&Ms and
Yeah.
pick out all of the green ones specifically because Dad does not like the green ones.
Boom.
And that was one of the caveats of him being here. Can you
Yeah.
believe that?
We don't even want to get going on the TiVo con.
I have a Ziploc bag full of green M&Ms in my drawer. Then what am I going to do with those?
Sell them on the streets.
Anyway, we'll see you guys next time. I appreciate you tuning in. Bye. And so
Get real high and I scream at the top of my lungs, what's going on? And I said, hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah. I said, hey, what's going on?
all right, sorry.
That's the outro.
Thank you guys for watching.